Hello and welcome, everyone. You are listening to the Crack Podcast. How you getting on? Another episode. What's going on? I hope you're keeping well, as always. Summer's out there, sunny and clean and blue skies, and then we had lots of rain. But it's the rainy days that make the sunny days special. Yeah, what have you been up to? Oh, got some sirens outside. Oh, the city life. Anyway, yeah, new episode. Let me just move my pen here. Okay, right. A little bit behind the scenes there. This guy holds a pen when he records. Yeah, I got my little list. Don't know if you heard that. That was me scribbling on it. I'm going to be taking things off. So it's been another week. Like 21 days, 20... I don't know. It's been more than a week. This isn't a weekly podcast, alright? Yeah, so... I think where do we leave off? Previously on the Crack Podcast. Yeah, I had physio coming up because the old knee here, it's been a bit of a pain in the dick. So yeah, basically, I'm sure I told you what was happening was I was going to the gym regularly, getting pushing it, you know what I mean? Fucking physical elite. And I'd been on the treadmill. And it wasn't like one event happened. It wasn't like I went down, slow motion, dragged by the fucking belt, pulled underneath. Jing, jing, jing. It didn't stop. Took 4 firemen and a priest to get me out of there. No, it wasn't. It was nothing like that. I was just running along, thump, 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 and yeah, dum, 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 indeed. And then my left knee took a disliking to that, so I'd be going along, dump, 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 and every now and again, doing. Oh, something was. I'll keep going. Dun, 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 doing. Oh god, that was sore. I'll push it, shall I? Dun, okay, okay, it was a bit more painful, so I'll just stop. So I did, and I gave it a wee while, and it didn't seem to fix itself. So I went along to the physio there. Very good, very fun. Never done that before. Don't know what I expected, but it was cool. Just a wee lady. She explained to me how knees work, and I'm not taking the piss. She genuinely explained the whole fucking science behind it. I don't know, just how, the hinges and all the tendons and everything pulls and everything's around the, I don't know what you'd call it, like a fluid sac around the knee and all the wee tendons and science, bitch, all that stuff. I lay on the wee table. She had me press again. She try and bend it, and I press again. She try and straighten it, and I resist. Okay, the good news is it's not arthritic, it's nothing permanent, nothing to be concerned with. Okay. And there's some exercises to do. So I've been emailed, emailed indeed. She printed off a bunch of paperwork for me to read. Not ready yet. And she emailed me a link. Not looked at it yet. And I've got exercises to do at home, which I think takes 6 weeks to do. And then by the end of it, I can run again. But I think I'm going to go outside. Take in that air. Get the sun on my face, my big baldy head. So that'd be good. I just need to get on that. But the the email thing, that was funny because it's like going to the doctor. You go in. Hello, take a seat. Thank you. I'll take a fucking seat. My knee. Yeah. Okay, so what happened? Well, I was at the treadmill. I was telling her what I just told you. And the appointment goes ahead, and then at the end she goes, okay, so I'll email you these links. So we're sitting at her computer, which is across, so it's like a doctor's office. So there's the bed thing on the other side of the room. We're back across the other side. She's got her desk, and I'm in the wee chair. And I just spell your name. Oh, it's Lewis, L-W-I-S. And then dot. And then I gave her my surname, and she starts typing it in by the first 4 letters. And then my work email, because we're all NHS, we are all one, guys, okay? We bleed as one, our hearts beat as one. She types in the start of my surname, and my work email auto-populates. And I work for the, in case I've never fucking mentioned it, Scottish Ambulance Service, which is abbreviated SAS. So my work email pops up, Lewis dot surname SAS in capital letters. And I went to, oh, that's my work email. And she, SAS. What do you do? Can you say? Oh, no. Yeah, no, I'm not some elite soldier. No, it's the ambulance service. But thank you for. As I sit there with my little sore knee from jogging, a little bit too minorly to discomfort. It was flattering, SAS, but no. So yeah, that was that. So I've got the exercises to do, and I've not quite got to that, but I will. All right, I just need to, I don't know, buy a yoga mat, and Charlotte can come home from work and see me in my spandex, my leg warmers on, sweatband on, lying on the floor. Raise, lower, raise, lower. Feel that burn, ladies, right in there. Feel the burn deep. So, yeah, I'll get on that. Get the knee fixed, and go for a jog in the countryside. No, you know what happened is I'll go for a jog and I'll be like the fucking furthest point from civilization. Ah! Knee pops out. Probably my right knee this time. But yeah, I'll get on that. I'll be fixed. Something else I've been doing in the recent history is I took part in, I think, of the 48-hour film competition, which was cool. I don't know what to tell you. I was the screenwriter for the team. So the 48-hour film competition is not unique to Inverness. It happens all over the world, and I mean all over the world. And it's a 48-hour film competition. So what happened was we met on the Friday night at Eden Court, where the teams have already registered, and you send, sort of like the start of the Warriors, you send a few folk from each team, and can you dig it? And then Cyrus gets shot. That didn't happen, but it happens to the Warriors. And you meet with the teams, and then the hosts. You're going to have to do some editing there. Chica just lost her shit. Chica is, of course, my Mexican co-host, the Chihuahua. Where was I? I believe I left off with the 40-hour film competition. You go and you meet, and then there's a talk. There's a host, like a producer, head honcho, does a speech about the competition itself and explaining how it works. That's all good. And then there's like a guest speaker. I think she was one of the judges. She is a locally based, I'll say locally, she lives across the Keswick Bridge in Cromarty, and she produced a film that I never saw. Oh, don't know if you're hearing that properly. I've lost sound in my left headphone. Oh dear. Okay, we'll try again. If it's not the dog barking, it's the fucking microphone cutting out. So, the producer, she lives in Cromarty, and she produced a film that had some folk from The Sopranos in it, which I never saw, which would be cool. And I think Shirley Henderson, who was in Trainspotting, but she was Moaning Myrtle in Harry Potter 2, the one with the snake. Chamber of Secrets. I saw that in the cinema, and I saw it in Stirling, and it was one of those cinemas that used to be like a theatre. So it had an actual curtain over the screen, and then there was an interval. It was that long a film. Anyway, so she produced that film, and she produced another thing for BBC, for CBBC or BBC, one of these things, of Katie Morag, which is like a Scottish children's book series about a wee girl that was on an island, which I never read, because I was a wee boy, and they were for wee girls. I did read, was it Harry McClary from Donaldson's Dairy? A wee dog, which I later found out is actually in New Zealand. Anyway, so they do the speech, and then each team goes up one at a time, or a representative goes up. In our instance, it was the director, and they pull little strips of paper, like ticker tape, little strips, out of a beanie hat. And on the strips of paper are two genres. So we got buddy film or fish out of water. Every team does that, and they get two different genres. Now you get to make a film in 48 hours of one of those genres, or both. The only thing each team has in common is you're then given a character name that has to be in it, a line of dialogue that has to be in it, and a prop which must appear. So for the Inverness one, 2025, the character was you had to have somebody called Chaz or Charlie Chapman, not Chaplin, Chapman, and the line of dialogue had to be, "But why?" And then the prop had to be a potato. So immediately, I say immediately, then there's another speech, and everyone sort of disperses. Myself and the director, or not a screenwriter, went for a walk down to the islands, which is just a wee bit down from the Eden Courts in Inverness, and we walked around and just formed ideas, just put things out there into the open, and then I had a big notebook with me, so writing it all down, and I got home and I just started writing into the night. Now, that sounds very dramatic. I'm not Batman, but I had gone out that day and I bought 12 bottles of water. I got some Red Bull, still got them here because it was fucking disgusting. I got some breakfast bars, peanuts, beef jerky, snacks, and I was in night shift mode. I was just, alright, I'll stay awake until I have to. So I farted out a first draft within an hour, sent it to the director. Meanwhile, he was away out location scouting, everything, fucking, you get 48 hours, go. So by the time we'd finished on the islands, we knew the basic outline, we knew how many characters were going to be in it, and we knew the settings we were going to need, and we knew how many costumes we were going to need. So, I mean, this came together. It was a team. The folk involved. It wasn't like pretending, because it was the real deal. It was like a major film production, but on this tiny scale. So we had a wardrobe department, we had a hair and makeup department, we had a screenwriter, hello, we had the director, we had a head of photography, director of photography, the camera department, we had a sound guy, when they hold what looks like a massive golf club with a big furry fucking fuzz thing at the end. That's the sound guy, that's the boom. We had an editor, we had a caterer, there's somebody feeding the crew and the cast. We had a cast, of course. Jesus, what else do we have? Hair and makeup, art department, a thing called greens, which is just folk that move plants around and things at scene. And I'm sure we had location marshals. There was a producer, assistant director, director's assistant. All these things are different, but they all come together and they've all got a role on the film set. And I'm sure I'm doing a disservice. I've forgotten a few folk, definitely, because there's so many folk involved. And then it's go. All go. So I stayed up and I wrote the first draft of the script. And it's a bit out there. I wasn't proud of what I wrote, if that makes sense. I didn't feel... No, you're up against time. You're pushed. But I wasn't jazzed. And I sent it to the director, and he was away out looking for locations, but then when he got home he read it, and I did a second draft in that time, sent that to him, but by the time he got back, the director of photography was at unit base, which is, unit base is where the equipment's kept, it's where the catering's kept, and here's a fun fact for you. So one of the producers, the director, he'd been working on the Odyssey nearby, so they had a bunch of leftover snacks. So I believe the location manager from the Odyssey had told him, and I actually believe it was like he stole them, he was gave him a bunch of boxed foods. So this little mini film, this little 40-hour film was, I don't know what you'd say, craft services. Some was supplied from Warner Brothers. Thank you, Christopher Nolan. Thank you, the Odyssey. I never got any. I worked at my desk, and I got to sit where I'm sitting now, but just typing away, and I love doing that. I like the isolation. I like just focusing on my own thing and getting on with it. So we had a WhatsApp meeting where I had to redraft it again, and then I was up till 4, working away on this, plugging away, and then I went to bed. And when I woke up at just before 10, I looked at the group, because different group chats and stuff. The edited screenplay was in there, so my name was still on the written by, or screenplay by, or whatever it was, but I think what they were using, not a lot of my words were on that page. But I do understand they're up against time. That's how I had to go. So I wasn't hurt. I wasn't angry. I understand the process. But there's the boiler switching on. Of course it does while I'm doing this podcast. I just don't really feel my efforts were used in the final product, if that makes sense. It's very strange. It's amazing. The film, so everyone comes together and everyone reads the screenplay and everyone has a different vision of how it goes. And yeah, the finished event, I suppose in the end, is the director's vision, but it's not how I saw it going. However, last night, Saturday the 26th, that was the premiere, the competition. Eden Court again in the cinema. It's the first time I've seen something I wrote on the big screen, which was terribly exciting, even if it was 7 minutes in length. But it's fantastic. Everyone comes together. You know, it is very much a team effort. And then you get to see the finished product. But what was wonderful about that is you get to see all the other entries, and you can really feel the fun that some folk had behind the scenes in these other films. The energy, it was fantastic. And some of the talent that's just up here, just these folk. The passion, the enthusiasm. Because there's no money in this 40-hour thing. You know what I mean? Well, the fucking first place, you get, I think, 1,500 towards going to a bigger competition. It's a worldwide thing. So this was Inverness. However, it happens in... I think of a city. Come on. I can't think of a single... Happens in Paris. Happens in London. Happens in Canberra. Happens in Krakow. You get it, okay? And then all these go into one big competition that goes further and further and further. And then it's in, I think, Lisbon in Portugal. That's where, like, the main bam, here you go is. And the winner, the winning team, gets £1,500 for them, with the intention of funding their team travelling to this bigger, I don't know, higher heat. I would do it again next year, and it's meeting like-minded people. It's meeting people that are of your kin, people that want to make films and that enjoy making films, and that's fantastic. But then, now, if you know me in real life, I am not competitive, and I absolutely mean that. Unless I'm on eBay for some reason. If I'm bidding on something on eBay, then the world stops turning and I'm zoned in. But after the film, we'd watch them all, and I was ready. I was kind of ready to dip. I can bounce. It's good. I don't care if we win or lose. To me, it's not about the winning. It was just getting to work with everyone. But we stayed for the awards ceremony. One award was won by the team, and that was to Rosa McGilvery, who very deservedly got it for hair and makeup. And what makes that all the more absolutely fantastic is that she has just left school, and she's going to go to do, I think it's stage or screen hair and makeup as her, that's what she wants to get into. So she's already, she's hit the ground running. She's already won an award to stick on her CV. I was delighted for her, because very well deserved. So that's the 40-hour film competition in Inverness. This is really exciting. I like being around film thing. I'm just gonna go skulk around the fucking cinema. I am actually. I'm going to the cinema tonight. But no, it was great being part of it, and I would do it again next year. Whether or not the team would want me back, but I'm sure I could find somebody to work with. That's not a desperate plea out there to be involved. It's just something I would like to do again. I enjoyed it, and I've got the screenwriting thing on my computer now. I've downloaded the program instead of just going into a Word document. I've actually got this thing that you use numbered shortcuts and it jumps around, so then you actually get like a screenplay with slug lines. A slug line is the bit that says like INT dash kitchen dash day, and then you set the scene, and then you press a button and it gives you character names or it gives you the dialogues, so it all comes together. So I'm just going to keep plugging away, writing my little screenplays. But that LinkedIn, that app. Jesus, you follow the right pages and it's just bombarding you with job offers. I've only put myself forward for one. Didn't get it, but that was for voiceover work again. But I think what I might do, it was quite complimentary. Get your words out. I was just about to say, I'd like to get into voiceover work. However it would appear I can't fucking speak. So there's that. But no, I'd like to actually polish up some sort of performing CV and start putting myself out there for remote work, because I can still do the ambulance dispatching stuff. And in my spare time, plug away at voiceover work, which would be nice. And one of the guys there last night, he came over and, you've got the nicest voice. Oh, shut up. Well, sorry, mopeds flying past. Just because I'm doing the podcast doesn't mean folk don't need their Just Eats. So that's what's going on. What else is happening? I don't know, I've got 9 minutes to fill. Fuck. Well, I'm going to the cinema tonight, because I was up at Eden Court last night, and the last time I went to the cinema, a while ago, and I'm sure I spoke about it on here, I had some kind of weird anxiety or panic attack or something, but I had to get out of there. It felt like I was cooking. Suddenly the heat came on, I could feel my pulse, and I was like, I'm going to be sick. And I wasn't. I got home, all was well, but I've not gone back to the cinema since. I did not get back on the saddle. So every time I stared that horse in the eye, I did not want to go, so... Last night was good. It's good being back in the cinema. It was a nice little dry run. But I'm going to go in tonight because at 6 o'clock, I need to actually buy my fucking ticket. Maybe I'm too late. They're showing a film called Barry Lyndon, which I've only seen once, but it was a lovely film. It's a Stanley Kubrick. That's the guy who did The Shining and Full Metal Jacket and 2001. What else did he do? There's probably folks screaming at their phone right now. Eyes Wide Shut. Clockwork Orange. Yeah, Barry Lyndon. The Killing, was that him? Spartacus. He did a bunch of films, very well known filmmaker. Barry Lyndon, I think it's just turned 40 or 50. It's probably its 50th anniversary, really. So it's been remastered and they're showing it in the cinema, so I'm going to go and see that. And it's not an action-packed, spectacular, it's not like loads happens, but Paths of Glory, that's another Kubrick. From what I remember of Barry Lyndon, it's about a man in Ireland in maybe the 1760s, 70s, 80s, 50s, I don't know, 1700s, and he wants to elevate his social status. So he leaves his tiny wee village and he goes to do that. So I think he tries to marry up, but he joins the army and goes abroad, and when he's in Belgium, I think he defects and he joins the Belgian army, and he marries up, and it's all... It sounds so wank. It's beautifully lit. It's a very gentle film to watch. There's some sad stuff in it, and there's, I don't want to say action, but there's duels with flintlock pistols, and there's a battle scene with the redcoats. I don't think we see enough of those scenes. I like those types of battles, where they march. They've got the drums going and then they fire. Yeah. So there's a scene like that, but a lot of it is just set in the Irish countryside. And from what I believe, it was lit with light sources appropriate to the time. So if they are outside, there's not a big, massive, giant poof light beaming down on them like the sun. It is lit by the sun. And if the clouds happen to be going over the sun at that point, that was tough. If they're indoors, if they're in a, tavern having drinks and there's candles, that scene was lit by the candles. That's how the film was lit. And I think some of the blocking was done. Blocking, like I said, total fucking condescending. Blocking is when they're told how to position and where to be in the shot. The blocking was inspired by old Renaissance paintings, so just the way they're spread out, it looks like something you might see on the wall of a gallery. And it's Kubrick, so it's all deliberate and I don't know what you'd say, dictated down to the finest detail. If there's a wine bottle on its side that's not there by accident, that is placed there and angled that way. And it's a lovely film. I think it's got a nice soundtrack, if I remember. I watched it on my TV in the living room, so I'm gonna go and see it on the big screen the way it was meant to be. In high definition, if I buy a ticket, which I need to do So yeah, so it's going to be a shorter episode. You know, I think it might be, guys. I think it may be. And that's what's in my notes here. I've got a notepad on the old iPhone here that I put ideas in. So I got Barry Lyndon tonight. Yeah, I can get rid of that. 4-hour film competition. Get rid of that. Physio appointment. Get rid of that. Tipping in a self-ordering establishment. That speaks for itself. I was obviously asked to tip somewhere where I'd ordered myself. Where would that have been? Probably that fucking Just Eat app. We get that at work all the time. If we get a takeaway, you know, you pay the fucking fortune for takeaway food, which I don't know why it costs so much if I'm not sitting in there. Anyway, and then there's all these fees. Drop a bag. No, mate, I'll just fucking juggle it. Yeah, okay, I want a bag. And then service charge. Okay. Handling fees. Okay. Do you want to leave a tip? Fuck off. I've just added £5 onto this shit. So there's that. The struggles of trying to find glasses. I have a big head. The end. Behind the green truck. Exhaust spewing smoke. Efficient energy. Right indicator flicking like hell. The hell was that? I'll come back to that one. The dream about the suicide girl. Whoa, that got heavy all of a sudden. That's from a while ago. That's the top note. That's the oldest note I have. Well, we'll end with that one, shall we? I'll tell you about that dream that I had. Does it mean anything? Actually, it means you're in love with your, actually your father. Wait, what? No. A while ago, I had a dream and I woke up totally bummed out. What happened in it? I was at my friend Jamie's. So he moved house when we were little to a second house. I say his childhood home, but his family moved out of there a few years ago anyway. But in this dream, we were back at this house, which is down near my grandfather's old house as well. That's not his house anymore. He's in the cemetery. So it was at Jamie's house, and it was actually the neighbour's house, which always had an overgrown garden. Always, it was like something out of a children's book in that sense. You could easily make up a rumour that there's a witch living in there or something. It was just weeds and reeds and that type of thing. And then in this dream, the house was worse for wear. So this house wasn't derelict or anything like that, but it wasn't, maybe it was a drain pipe hanging off and the paint was all flecked and the garden was overrun and stuff like that. But in the dream, this house was abandoned. It looked like a haunted house, and it was just me, I think. But I was walking past and I saw there was a door open. Now in real life I would never do this, however in the dream world, why not? So I went and opened it, and I went inside, and the house was immaculately maintained indoors. So the outside was all decrepit and ruined, but inside was neat and tidy. And there was a lady in the living room, and she was on her phone. So I asked her, "Are you okay?" And she couldn't get into it. She couldn't get into the phone. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know how to help you. And this was weeks ago. I cannot remember the dream. Oh man, I should have wrote the whole thing down. She was trying to get into the phone. She couldn't do it. And she told me that her daughter had killed herself, and it was her daughter's phone, and she couldn't find out the information. There was more to it, but I'll leave you with that fucking downer of an ending. So, don't know what it meant, but I woke up and I was bummed out, if I can tell you. I know did I get into the phone? I should have asked Charlotte about it, because, she was like, "What's wrong?" I'm just kind of, had this really weird dream, and it's really fucking upset me. Wasn't a nightmare, but it wasn't a particularly cheerful one. Thank you, brain. I've got this untapped, unlimited fucking source of imagination that you can have any dream in the world. I could have been flying, fucking like Superman. No, because you sound like that to bum you out, and you wake up already in a bad mood. So I'm going to call it there, guys. If you want to get in touch, fire me a message through the website. I'll put the link below. But I will say my thank yous. Thank you to Blackmill for the theme tune. Thank you, Coda, for your artwork, giving us the logo. Thank you, dear listener, for your time. Thank you for listening. But until next time, as always, don't take any shit. You look after yourself. Be good to each other. But just be good. Alright, I'll speak to you next time, guys. Bye for now.